All right, before I rip it apart, I'm actually gonna put batteries in it, hook it up, and make sure that it actually works, so that I'm not modding a radio that didn't work out of the box. Just to check. Be right back. Put some batteries in it. Turns on. That's good news. One of the first things we want to do is turn the endpoints on channel 1 and 5 down very low, because we don't want to accidentally wreck a servo. So let's turn the channel. I'm going to, let's take the batteries out. Anytime you're taking this thing apart, take the batteries out. So, out of the box, it works. Channel 5 is a little funky. The plastic's rubbing, but fortunately we don't have to worry about that because we're gonna put that down here. All right, to get this thing open, at least the first step of opening it, it comes with a different back here. This comes off. You gotta kind of get your thumbnail in there and figure out where it pops out, and then start popping it out, and then it'll come out. Looking at this side of it, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plugs, plus there's 1 or 2 in the grip. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 or 8 screws that have to come out. These little plugs, they're little rubber things, and I'm going to show you in a second how to get those out. This is a little dental style pick that I have had for a number of years. I don't know where I got it. You can also use something like this. These come from like Walmart or Home Depot or somewhere. But if you look in here, there's a little spot where you can get under it, push down, and pull this thing out. And it's just a little rubber piece that sticks in there. But you gotta pry those out. They're kind of a pain, but it's just a piece of rubber. And you pull those out, and those are what cover up the screw holes. So go ahead and take each one out. Then we'll go ahead and take the screws out. So these are the little rubber plugs. They're just squishy rubber. They go in the holes over top of the screws. In my personal radio, I didn't bother putting them back in. I think I lost them. I don't know where they are. They don't really do anything. They're just for looks, basically. But there are, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 screws. And to take those out, what is this? This is a number 0, 3-inch. And the reason I show you that specifically is because I have those fancy Klein screwdrivers that have all the bits in them, and they do not fit down in all of the holes. So you need just one of these cheapos, the little thin ones, to get down in there. And then we're going to take all those screws out, and we're going to pop the side off. All right, all the screws are out, and amazingly, they're all the same size. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 8 screws. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 screws. And we're going to pull this whole side off. One thing, well, it's not as bad as it seems, but this has to go in, this has to go in, these, you know, these all have to go back in a certain order. And before we even start, I'm going to tell you that this is different than this. You can't switch them, but I'm going to show you how to identify which is which. The same thing with these two. They do not interchange. There's a little tab that makes sure you put the right one in the right spot. But I'm going to show you that. But the next step is we got all the screws out. It's time to tear this thing in half. And that is the half that covers everything. This is the little rubber piece in the front that I lost on my original one. And this is what it looks like on the inside. You got a circuit board. That's the screen. And there's a cover over it. These buttons are going to have to come out. These buttons are going to have to come out. This is going to have to come out. This will stay, luckily. These will come off. All this can stay. All this can stay. So this is actually loose right now, but we're not taking it out just a second. First thing we're going to do is grab a hold of these knobs and pull them off. They're friction fit. So we're going to pop those off. Those are the same. Either one will go either way, so you don't have to keep track of which one is which. There's the screws I've taken out. So the part we need to get to is here. Yeah, sure, right there. Easy, right? So this potentiometer for the throttle and this one for the steering are actually wired in, as well as all of these are in a cable. So we can take this and move it to the side, and that's what we're going to do. These are going to fall out. Don't freak out. I'm going to show you how to put them back in. These two buttons, press those 4 buttons, and they sit right in those holes right there. In the top of those holes, you're not going to be able to see it on the camera, but you might be able to see it on the buttons. There's a notch right there. There's quite a different notch right there. That's how you're going to know which one goes where. And as long as you fiddle them around until that notch, there's a little thing that, you know, you're going to know, but you got to look for those notches. That's how you know which one goes where. On the outside, they look pretty similar, but on the inside, there's a little notch. I don't know why they did that, but they did. So that's how you figure that out when we're going the other way and put it back together. For now, those go to the side. The next step is there are, I believe, 4 screws on this board. There's a whole bunch of screws actually, but only 4 of them need to come apart. That's that one, that one, that one, I think that one. And while we're at it, this is the power switch, and it's got the little external part on there. We can pop that off and put it aside so we don't lose it. That's the on-off switch. Now at this point, you're probably wondering, why don't you just unplug this and you know, then you have the whole thing in your hand, and you don't have to deal with this whole wiggling it around mess. The reason is, if you look at these connectors, they're nice and well done, but in my experience, have had nightmares of those popping right off of the circuit board when you try to disconnect them, or the wires getting yanked out of the connector, or the connector just disintegrating as you pull it apart. So if you want, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's like 4 big old connectors. If you want to take those off, you can, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to take the screws out and expose the top of the circuit board. When we do that, these buttons will come out and this will come off. I'll be right back after I got the screw. All right, just as I expected, it was the outer 4 screws. They're all 4 the same size. And just for reference, it's the outer 4. It's that one, that one. Then you can turn it over. And it's that one, and that one. And then once those are off, this cover comes loose. Now you're gonna have to keep a hold of these buttons, and this is a D style potentiometer, or encoder actually. So when that comes off, of course that hit the floor. There's one, I caught one. Give me just a second. Yeah, I gotta go find that. It went flying. Okay, didn't go too far. So this is the thumb wheel. You can see how it goes in there. It's a D shaft. I guess that's what it goes on there. Pops off with the screen, with the cover. And these little buttons are going to go flying everywhere. They are different. And the way they go back in, when you look at the inside, when you're looking at it like this side has a little notch thing on it. You can see that. This one doesn't. So this button has a little thing that has to go right there. It's the only way you can do it. The other one doesn't, but it still has a top and a bottom. You just have to spin it around and figure out where that goes. So when they go back in, one has a notch, one doesn't. No big deal.